What's up, and welcome to the channel. And if you aren't paying attention right now, you are officially missing the most dramatic, chaotic, and frankly infuriating year the firearms industry has seen in a decade. We're talking about regulatory bodies performing gymnastic feats to redefine what a rifle is, budget manufacturers stealing the lunch money of the high-end boutique guys, and so many new concealed carry pistols that your holster drawer is weeping in confusion. We've got innovation, we've got politics, and we've got sheer value, and a whole lot of expensive disappointment for consumers caught in the crossfire. Today, we're dissecting 25 of the biggest gun and gear stories that prove 2025 is already bonkers. You all stick around, hit that subscribe button right now to join the community, and let's get started holding these folks down. The Antithesis is the week's poster child for you can't make this stuff up. And if you thought gun companies weren't inventing ways to make regulators grouchy, welcome. Franklin Armory took a creative route with the Antithesis, a configuration that blurred lines with multi-profile firing options and a rifled barrel in calibers that historically invited extra attention. The company rolled it out, fans bought it, and then the ATF trudged in like a grouchy referee and asked for voluntary returns while it re-examines classification. Practically speaking, the Antithesis is clever engineering. It tries to keep the product out of traditional NFA territory by altering design elements that regulators often key on. For consumers, that meant excitement followed by an ugly legal hangover, owners briefly holding shiny toys they're suddenly told to send back. From an enthusiast's lens, the Antithesis is interesting. It forces a conversation on how design changes affect legal status and pushes debate about where lines should be drawn. From a practical lens, it's a reminder that innovation in firearms isn't just about ergonomics and recoil, it's also about dance steps with federal rulebooks. If you're considering one, check legal status and manufacturer guidance first, because fun quickly becomes federal paperwork otherwise. All right, now for something shiny. Styarms ATC, the competition-focused pistol that strutted onto the scene like it paid for front-row seats at an IPSC match. The ATC's whole shtick is competition ergonomics right out of the box, wider footprint for optic plates, a flared magwell, and slick trigger geometry intended to shave fractions of a second off split times. Imagine a race-ready package that doesn't require a credit card-sized wallet to get it there. That's the vibe. Controls are tuned for speed and repeatability. The grip profile is ergonomic for long match strings, and the sights or optic mounting options give you a clean sight picture under stress. If you're familiar with other competition platforms, you'll appreciate the ATC's attempt to democratize high-end features. In the real world, that means less aftermarket tinkering and more time on the range dialing in footwork and sight acquisition. For people who love feel and speed, Styarms nailed the brief. It's a pistol that says, "Put me in a match. Don't call me pretty." Switch gears. The ATD from Styarms is basically the ATC's grown-up cousin who learned first aid and voted. This model shifts focus from podiums to personal safety, more conservative sights, ambidextrous controls, and a grip meant to be natural under stress rather than sculpted for mag dumps. The AT keeps modern ergonomics and reliability but prioritizes practical features, silent carry compatibility, dependable striker, hammer systems, and controls that don't punish a sweaty hand at 3 in the morning. It's that rare piece that tries to bridge competition precision and defensive simplicity. For everyday carriers who still want modern performance without match-centric quirks, the AT presents an appealing balance, tactical enough to instill confidence, but not so tricked out that holster selection becomes a geometry problem. If you asked me what gun to recommend for someone who wants performance without the ego, this would be it. The Cheetah's back, but with a tactical twist, and yes, it still purrs. The ADX Tactical Desert keeps the classic 380 footprint but stretches its legs with a threaded 4.4-inch barrel and a 15-round magazine, moving the Cheetah from quaint to usable for real. It's not trying to be a full-size duty pistol, it's trying to be a discreet, low-recoil option that can be suppressed on the range and still be comfortable for shooters who don't relish muzzle snap. The ergonomics remain Beretta's steady hand, intuitive controls, solid balance, and a familiarity that makes training easier. With modern features like optics readiness and a frame-mounted safety/decocker option, this iteration feels like Beretta updated a classic for today's market without turning it into something unrecognizable. If you want a carry option that's gentle on the hand and won't empty your wallet on ammo, the ADX Cheetah Tactical Desert is a clever compromise. Old-school composure, new-school utility. Here's the one that should make a lot of you grin: the Savage RXR-22, a rimfire that wants to be your training platform and your weekend fun gun. Built to borrow the massive aftermarket ecosystem around the Ruger 1022, the RXR-22 offers immediate access to a sea of mags, barrels, and triggers without reinventing the wheel. Savage tossed in a threaded barrel, a polymer receiver with a clean mounting rail, and a design that's friendly to aftermarket upgrades. And they did it at a price point that makes sense for mass ownership. This is the kind of rifle that lowers the cost of entry for people who want to practice fundamentals but don't want to burn hundreds of rounds of centerfire each trip. For trainers and parents looking to introduce new shooters, the RXR-22's compatibility with 1022 parts is pure genius. Swap the stock, change the optic, and suddenly it's a completely different tool without buying a new platform. If you want bang for buck and flexibility, Savage served it hot. Sometimes manufacturers go full nostalgia and deliver something weirdly wonderful. CNC Firearms 500 Magnum Emergency Kit is exactly that. Limited to a small run, this kit borrows the big bore nostalgia of 500 tons, almost 460 platforms, and repackages it with custom engraving and collector-grade fit finish. This isn't for everyone. It's heavy, loud, and built with an eye toward historical homage and specialty use. But for collectors and aficionados who like a revolver that doubles as a conversation piece and a last resort stopper, the kit checks boxes: custom engraving, premium wood, and the visceral thrill of a big Magnum cylinder. Economically, limited runs mean premium price and immediate collector interest. So if you see one available, expect it to move quick. This is a tactile love letter to classic large-bore handgun engineering. And speaking of CNC, their Marlin SBL engraved editions are exactly the kind of pretty gun that belongs on a safe's top shelf. These aren't just functional rifles, they're showpieces. The SBL platform itself is a modern take on classic lever-action simplicity, and CNC's 4 engraving options give buyers a chance to own something that stands out aesthetically without losing practicality. From hunting to historical appreciation, these variants lean into craftsmanship, detailed metalwork, custom stocks, and a level of finish usually reserved for bespoke firearm makers. They're not mass-market bang-for-buck tools. They're boutique pieces that reward owners who appreciate detail and heritage. If you want a rifle that tells a story, this is one that writes it in steel and walnut. Palmetto's Saber AK GF5 is an answer to folks wanting an AK with modern ergonomics and long-term durability. Built from Romanian parts kits and upgraded with contemporary touches, the GF5 brings a higher tolerance of heat and use with hardened Cerakote finishes and free-floating handguards that accept M-Loc accessories. The inclusion of ALG triggers and B5 furniture means PSA didn't skimp on handling, so recoil management and shooter comfort are solid for the class. This is the AK for someone who wants a classic platform's reliability but doesn't want to wrestle with outdated ergonomics or limited accessory options. Performance-wise, it's predictable and reliable, exactly what you want in an AK. But now it's easier to mount modern optics and accessories without turning it into Frankenstein's rifle. If the GF5 is the slick upgraded sibling, the GF4 is the practical brother who likes to keep things simple and solid. The GF4 shares the build pedigree but swaps the handguard configuration and puts a different stamp on the ergonomics while retaining the same emphasis on durability. Essentially, PSA picked 2 distinct handguard philosophies and built rifles around them so buyers can choose the balance between tactical modularity and traditional AK simplicity. Both are reliable. The choice is about how you plan to accessorize. If you want something close to a classic AK experience but with the convenience of modern parts, the GF4 is the straightforward option that still handles like a champ and won't laugh at neglect. Arsenal's SAM-7 SF-56 is a familiar platform dressed with a side-folding stock for shooters who want a compact carry solution that still packs the punch of a full-sized rifle. The SF-56 keeps the hardiness Arsenal is known for, but adds a practical folding stock that makes transportation and storage friendlier without sacrificing accuracy or cycling reliability. Its mechanically conservative proven internals, durable receivers, and a focus on longevity over gimmicks. For people who need a compact package for truck use or tight storage, the SF-56 hits the sweet spot: fast, manageable length when folded, stable when extended. Functionally, it's the soldier's solution in a civilian shell, rugged, reliable, and built for movement. This one's less new product drop and more big-picture seriousness. Colt CZ Group's framework agreement to supply Bren 2 rifles and P-10C pistols under a significant defense contract is a vote of confidence in those systems' reliability and field service performance. The Bren 2's modularity and modern ergonomics make it a contemporary infantry choice, and the P-10C's consistent trigger and ergonomics explain why many agencies favor it. A government contract like this cements a platform's reputation: sustained orders, support infrastructure, and long-term improvements based on soldier feedback. Practically, it means production lines will stay hot, spare parts will be available, and both platforms will see continued refinement. For the market, it's a stabilizing signal: proven tools getting more real-world use. Finally, a logistics note that matters. FN's contract to supply replacement barrels for M240 and M249 machine guns through the Defense Logistics Agency highlights the ongoing maintenance and modernization needs of service weapons. This isn't glamorous, but it's vital. Barrels wear out, and having a reliable source for quality replacements keeps machine guns in the fight. For armories and PMs, it's the kind of contract that ensures continuity and reliability across units. For civilian enthusiasts, it's a quiet reminder that professional-grade parts and spares underpin real-world readiness. In short, no drama, just steady supply chain work that keeps the tools working when they're needed most. Guys, 2025 is already a high-octane year, delivering insane value from companies like TSAS and Savage, while simultaneously giving us bureaucratic headaches courtesy of the ATF's flip-flops on the Franklin Armory Antithesis. We are seeing innovation focused on reducing recoil and maximizing capacity across every category, from micro-compacts to tactical AR-10s. Now, I want to hear from you all which one of these new guns is the biggest game changer, or which piece of regulatory nonsense is the most egregious example of overreach. Let me know all your thoughts and arguments down below. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe right now. See you in the next one. And as always, hold them down.